Join us for lively discussion about the A-State community. Each week, we'll meet with a variety of faculty, staff, and students to discuss all things Arkansas State University. Live from the ASU-TV studios in the School of Media and Journalism, this is A-State Connections.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to A-State Connections on ASU-TV. I'm Jonathan Reeves, an instructor of mass communications and faculty advisor for Delta Digital News Service at Arkansas State. Today, we're turning our focus to a voice that's been part of this community for decades, KASU Public Media, Arkansas State University's public media station. From local news to music, arts, and public service, KASU plays a unique role in connecting Northeast Arkansas, Southeast Missouri, and Western Tennessee to the region and the world. And telling us more today is my good friend KASU Program Director Marty Scarbrough. Welcome to A-State Connections.
Hey, I'm privileged to be here. Thanks, Jonathan.
You know, when I was news director there at KASU, we used to call it KASU Public Radio, and now it's KASU Public Media. Has that been a challenging transition by way of being on air and saying that?
Well, yeah. I mean, when you've said public radio for decades to now say, okay, we're more than just a radio station. You know, yes, that's kind of the foundation of what we do, but KASU goes well beyond that with our website, with an app, with all of our streaming that we do through, you know, through your smart speaker, through your phone. Yeah, we're more than just a radio station. We tried to reflect that by making that subtle change to say we're public radio to we're the public media service of Arkansas State University, because we dabble involved in different types of media.
Sure. And that's something I've seen that not only is KASU doing, but also many public media stations that are NPR member stations like KASU are really kind of embracing that part of it.
Well, you know this for all your years in broadcasting that, you know, a radio station isn't just a radio station anymore.
Sure.
A TV station isn't just a TV station anymore. With the advent of social media and the internet, you've got to be on all these different multiple platforms, and KASU is doing that, as is virtually every other major media outlet these days.
Yeah, but it's also an exciting time for KASU by way of thinking what the future is going to look like and those things. I know obviously challenges, funding challenges and other things for public media, but also it kind of opens up for more opportunities in the future to be able to really, you know, embrace the connection between KASU and the community.
Yeah, the idea of, you know, that we need a graphic designer to work at a radio station is kind of a little odd thought, because, well, you're just audio. Why do you need graphics? Well, you need those for your social media, for things that you do in print. And so, yeah, it's additional opportunities for students that we have to come and be mentored by KASU staff members and to intern or even get paid to work for us.
We're going to talk about that in 1 second. I do want to talk about one of the things that we had in the open is the way that KASU is connecting with the community and being able to do that. I think that's really an important part. Why is that connection so important between KASU Public Media and the local communities that KASU serves?
Well, radio has evolved over the last 25 years, partially because of some government deregulations that allowed people to own multiple radio stations, even within the same town, multiple radio stations within the same region and in the country. That led to a lot of, honestly, radio stations becoming just kind of focused from somewhere else. You know, you may tune into a radio station and there's not a local DJ talking to you about what the weather's going to be in your area. It's just this voice coming from somewhere else with pre-programmed music that you're hearing on multiple radio stations across the country. What KASU and most public radio, now public media stations, are trying to definitely be a local voice, talking about what's going on locally in our region. But then beyond that, of course, then, like you said, connecting them with the rest of the world through national public radio programs and other programs that talk about what's going on in the news in Washington, overseas, and giving that good mix where people who tune in are, yes, they're entertained by some of our music programs, but they're also well informed about what's going on locally, nationally, and around the world.
What part of your job as program director is making those decisions as to what you are going to air from NPR, what we do locally and all that? Kind of walk us through that process, if you don't mind, about how you make those decisions to make the balance between how much local content and how you put that in, if you know what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah,
How do you make those decisions?
Well, I tell a lot of people when I'm trying to explain my job, I say, for one thing, I'm sort of like a quality control manager. It's my job to make sure that what KASU offers, whether it's from a source outside of Arkansas State University or from within, music or programs that are produced by students or volunteers or full-time staff members, that all of that has a certain level of quality. And so that's one of the things that I do with my job. In terms of your first question, you're talking about, how do we balance all of that? Part of that goes to, well, how many local resources do we have to produce local programs? What sort of financial resources do we have to buy nationally syndicated programs that we can then share locally on KASU? So it's looking at all of those factors, determining too, okay, we're in existence to serve audiences that aren't being served otherwise by some other local radio stations. So we play music that you can't find anywhere else. There's no other radio station locally that's doing classical music and jazz and blues and bluegrass. So that's part of KASU's mission as well, is to determine what audiences are there out there for that music that they're not finding it on a commercial outlet.
Right. And one of the things about that's been very successful over the past over 10 years is your program, Arkansas Roots.
Yeah.
And let's talk about how that started, because I think that's really interesting. I remember I was working at KASU at that time as news director, and I think when the idea for that show came up, you had said, we talked in a conversation, and you said, I don't know how in the world I'm going to be able to find all this content. You've been going on for 10 plus years. So tell us about the show and tell us about how you keep coming up with show ideas.
Well, as far as Arkansas Roots goes, you go back to 1940s and 50s radio, even here in Arkansas. It wasn't unusual for in the middle of the day for there to be some kind of a music show. And often it was just local musicians coming in and performing on the radio station. Johnny Cash had his own radio show on a local radio station at one time in Arkansas. And so the station manager at the time, Mike Doyle, has said, you know what? We do all this news and information programming through the day. Let's do an hour of music in the noon hour. And I said, well, okay, so what kind of music do you want to do? And he said, well, I don't know. I just want to do some music. And I proposed, how about music from our state? Really hyper local. It's Arkansas music. And he said, do you think there's enough music from our state to do a daily hour-long show? And now about 13 years later, yeah, there's definitely enough to do a daily hour-long show.
I think one of the things that's really interesting is that you're talking about Arkansas. People may not realize it. Of course, everyone knows that Johnny Cash is from Arkansas and that, but there might be some other artists that we didn't know that came from Arkansas. What I really like about the show are the aspects where you get to learn something. It's like, dang it, I learned something today from Arkansas. I was just supposed to be entertained, right? But that's really what the magic and the beauty is of Arkansas Roots.
Yeah, and again, it started off as a show just about playing the music. No matter what kind of style or genre it was music that had some sort of Arkansas connection. The musician was born here, lived here for a significant amount of time, currently living here. But then it kind of grew into a magazine program where we would interview local musicians about the concerts they were doing. We talked to actors and visual artists, and it kind of grew to this program that kind of showcases, the music, but also the arts and culture of our entire state. And that's kind of what Arkansas Roots is all about right now.
And I think that's important to be able to have that. And that's one thing I'm kind of showing in one of my classes with my students is that we see whether it was, radio, television, moving and motion pictures, all that stuff, kind of going back to how is it a reflection of culture? How has it been able to do that? And this show and others, that's definitely one of the things about it. It is a direct reflection of that and helps tell stories.
Well, again, and that's our goal. And again, like I said, the goal of public radio, do things that no one else is doing. To my knowledge, there is no other media outlet of any kind, radio or otherwise, that's focusing in on Arkansas music and our arts and our culture the way KASU is doing.
What's really cool about that is when you've been around so long that you, at first, when you start a show, you're trying to call people and say, hey, would you be on this show and all that stuff? And now it's grown some roots, if you will, kind of playing on that. And now you've got people probably contacting you, hey, Marty, I want to be on Arkansas Roots.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And people see the value in this because for a lot of cases, we're bringing to people's attention events, music and things that people aren't aware of. It's not on anybody's radar, and so we're educating and entertaining people with what we share on the show.
KASU is known for music, obviously, and one of the things that KASU does that draws a lot of people. Fourth Monday of every month is Bluegrass Monday in Paragould. I think we've got one coming up.
Yeah, this upcoming Monday, April 27th, is our next Bluegrass Monday. This is a concert series that dates back to the early 2000s. I think it was 2002 when we got started. And yeah, for over these 20-plus years, we've been bringing well-known professional bluegrass musical acts to Northeast Arkansas. The performer this Monday night, the 27th, is a six-piece group called 5 Mile Mountain Road. The group has been in existence for about 10 years. What's unique about them is that, they play bluegrass music, but they also focus in on music of the United States from the first half of the 20th century.
Wow.
So they'll mix bluegrass with jazz and ragtime and Western swing and old-time string band music, and even we talk about classic country. We're talking about early country music from before Hank Williams Sr. that they're going to be playing, mixing this all together and putting on a really great show this Monday night at 7 at the Collins Theater in Paragould.
I've heard a couple of renditions, maybe not from this particular group, but I've worked at previous stations where we played oldies music and all that, kind of the good stuff, 60s and 70s. Folks, I heard a version of Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress, the guitar intro from the Hollies, and thought, I didn't know that you could do that with bluegrass, but that was pretty darn cool. What about that bluegrass community? Did that kind of surprise you at first? We've got such a great community of people who love bluegrass.
Well, perhaps a little bit. We started doing a radio show in the 1990s on KASU that was sort of just this mixture of all sorts of acoustic music. We'd have some bluegrass in there, we'd have some Celtic music, we'd have some Americana music, some folk music, which kind of all mixed in together. And over time, I was finding that people were reacting to the bluegrass part of that show. And they were like, you know what? We really want to hear more of the bluegrass. We want to hear more of the bluegrass. And so that radio show, Down Home Harmonies, kind of evolved from that mixture to now being exclusively bluegrass. And yeah, you're right. There's a passionate community who loves this music. And not only do they love it, but they want to see it continue to be passed down to the next generation. I think more so than maybe any other style of American music, bluegrass continues when the older generation teaches the younger generation about the history of this and how to play it and what some of the standards are for it. And one of the things we love about our Bluegrass Monday concerts, we let in everyone 18 and under comes in for free. So we'll see grandparents bringing their grandkids. We'll see parents bringing their children. There's young people coming and enjoying and engaging with this style of music, which you don't get to hear played live that often. And KASU is happy to be featuring that because, again, bluegrass and old-time string band music is a big part of our state. I mean, the Ozark Mountains, you go over to Stone County and you hear this music coming out of every street corner in multiple locations in and around the court square. We're glad to be reflecting that part of our state's musical heritage through these concerts.
I want to keep talking about Bluegrass Monday on the other side of the break.
Okay.
Is that good?
That sounds
Appreciate you so much. KASU Public Radio Program Director Marty Scarbrough joins us here on A-State Connections. Make that KASU Public Media Program Director. See, it takes me a little bit as well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be right back with more A-State Connections right after this.
Students should watch ASU-TV just to see the creativity that a college student can get. The creativity that some of these students have is truly amazing. Getting that experience can really just take you further, and I feel like our program does that for a lot of students.
I think one of the things I learned at Arkansas State was life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you respond to it, and that's just something that I live by.
A-State is home, and they're going to treat you like you're a part of the family.
ASU-TV, shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, ASU-TV News, Westside Football, and more. Gain real-life experience while doing what you love. Get involved with ASU-TV today.
Live from the ASU-TV studios in the School of Media and Journalism, this is A-State Connections.
And welcome back to A-State Connections on ASU-TV. I'm Jonathan Reeves. We're continuing our conversation today with KASU Public Media's Program Director, Marty Scarbrough. And once again, thanks so much.
I'm glad to be here.
So before we took the break, we were talking about Bluegrass Monday and all that. So for people who may have missed maybe the first part of that, could you kind of give us a recap? Who's coming and how people can get tickets for this?
Sure. On the fourth Monday night of every month, KASU presents live bluegrass music at the Collins Theater in downtown Paragould. That's 120 West Emerson Street. This upcoming Monday, April 27th at 7 o'clock, it's a band called 5 Mile Mountain Road. Tickets can be purchased in advance at kasu.org/tickets, and you can actually, at that same site, see information about all of our other upcoming Bluegrass Mondays scheduled through the end of 2026. Or you can pay at the door. It's $10 for adults. Like I mentioned earlier, everyone 18 and under gets in for free. All of the money goes to the musicians. It's a not-for-profit event. That's how they get paid. And because it's not-for-profit, $10 is a very affordable amount of money for the level of entertainment you'll be getting here. You go somewhere else to see a band of this caliber, you'll be paying a much higher ticket price.
Much higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also what I love about that atmosphere is the atmosphere of it. The people that are there, it's a great venue, and that it's just a wonderful time, and family friendly. Just everyone come on out and have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to have you there.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I know that as we're doing this show, and that we have already had the Arkansas Roots Music Festival and all that, but kind of talk about that, about how that got started. It's another connection that you all do with KASU. In the community with Arkansas Roots Music Festival.
Yeah, that actually grew out of a collaboration we've done with the Department of English, Philosophy, and World Languages. For over 3 decades, they've presented the Delta Symposium, which is a major event here on the A-State campus. And they've been kind of concluding that event with live musical performances. And from that concluding concert, it's kind of grown into now the Arkansas Roots Music Festival, partnering with the Delta Symposium, which is sort of like, it's what we do on the radio every Monday through Saturday on the Arkansas Roots show, but doing it in person, where we'll bring in multiple musical acts from across our state in many different styles and genres to perform and just have a great afternoon of live music of many different styles.
And usually the weather is like perfect and all that stuff. It's in April. It's nice. Hopefully there's not a lot of rain or anything like that, but usually it's really, really good.
Oh, this year the weather was absolutely perfect. We had such a fun day.
So keep that on your calendar, even though we've already missed it. Keep on your calendar every April when you hear about Arkansas Roots Music Fest. That's good.
Yeah.
You've got some, talking about more connections. This morning we were kind of talking off air about some potential things that you all are going to be doing and working with KASU Public Media, working in areas across the state and here in Jonesboro. Kind of tell us about these connections. I'm really excited about this information.
Well, there's a lot of things, again, that KASU does to get out into the community. We're blessed to be able to partner with another local not-for-profit radio station, KLEK, for some events that will be happening during Juneteenth week. They've actually got 8 full days of events they're going to be presenting, and KASU is going to be partnering with them on some of those events. Also coming up in June in North Little Rock, it's the first ever Arkansas Folk Life Festival. And this event is going to be multi-day. It's going to be multiple musical acts, but there'll also be presentations on Arkansas culture and the visual arts and performing arts. There's going to be dance and storytelling. It's a really big event. It's the first time they've ever done this, and KASU is going to be a presenting sponsor of that particular event as well. Beyond that, we're excited that in October, we're going to be partnering with the Arkansas Music Experience, which is a not-for-profit group that helps to promote the music of Arkansas, particularly the music industry, connecting musicians with resources to be successful. And so the Arkansas Music Experience has what they call music industry meetups. And they've had these across the state. I attended one over in Fayetteville, where basically is you get several hundred musicians into a room along with people who support the music industry. Maybe they're people who run lights and sound at concerts. Maybe they're people who can make T-shirts for you and for your band. Maybe it's somebody that is a booking agent. Maybe it's another radio station. And this was a really great, unique event that I attended in Fayetteville, and they said, we want to do one of these in Jonesboro, so KASU is happy to partner with them for this event that'll be happening in October at the Brick House downtown.
And think about Northeast Arkansas has so many great musicians and so much history of music being formed here in Northeast Arkansas. That just seems like a natural thing to have it here.
Yeah, and again, the neat thing about what happened in Fayetteville that we're wanting to replicate here in Jonesboro is I went there and I met musicians who were in reggae bands. I met people who were flamenco guitarists. I mentioned, straight up heavy metal rock bands, country musicians, pop artists, all together in this one room saying, you know what? Yeah, we're all Arkansas. We may play different kinds of music, but we can still support one another.
And how was that? Going through that, what was kind of your takeaways from it? Kind of going through all of that. I imagine for someone who's a music lover like you are, and that, I bet that was just an incredible experience.
Well, it was just a good reminder that, people think of Arkansas, they may think of, like you said, Johnny Cash and think about country music. But our state has such a rich history in so many different styles and genres. The first African-American composer to have a symphony orchestra performed by a major orchestra was from Arkansas. We've got multiple members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, people from the 1940s who were playing rock and roll before it had ever been given the name rock and roll. Right. We have this great heritage of all these different styles of music. But then we also have people in our state today who are playing all of that kind of music. And we have a lot to be proud of in Arkansas. Sometimes we can beat ourselves up or we allow ourselves to get beaten up that Arkansas doesn't have that much to offer. But culturally, I'd put us up there with any other state in the country for the impact that Arkansas has had on American culture.
Exactly. And, one of the things I think is really cool is that not far from Jonesboro, you have people who have played, violin and that for like Alan Jackson and for many others and all that. I mean, you've heard a lot of this stuff. You just didn't realize that there was that Arkansas a tie-in to that. So.
Well, yeah, and again, that just goes so far out. I'm looking forward to. I've got the opportunity to interview a gentleman from our state named Alan Reynolds. You may never know his name, but you know Garth Brooks. Mm-hmm. Alan Reynolds produced all of Garth Brooks' albums. He's the man behind songs like Friends in Low Places and Shameless and Rodeo and all those big hits. He was the man who produced all those records. There are many other people from our state that kind of fit that same category. There are songwriters who are in the Songwriters Hall of Fame who've written hit songs. They're also from the state of Arkansas.
And that's one thing, once again, I'm going back to when I worked at a station where I played a lot of music from the 50s and 60s and that in the 70s, you kind of have an appreciation for the music. And so I did not realize until I worked here at KASU that once again, man, I got educated again. And also by listening to Arkansas Roots. So, I've got Blytheville ties. Oh, yeah. And didn't realize, because my father was Air Force, we moved to Blytheville. Didn't realize that Junior Walker. Yeah. Junior Walker and the All-Stars, old Shotgun. Some of the students in the studios were like, what? Yeah. What? If you go listen to it, it's really, really cool. But Shotgun, Junior Walker of the All-Stars was born in Blytheville. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Well, I mean,
that's cool.
Dale Evans, who is probably best known for being half of Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, the singing cowgirl, she grew up in Mississippi County. Yep. There are so many other artists who are noteworthy who've come out of, right here in Northeast Arkansas that people may not know about. Again, that's part of what Arkansas Roots is all about, is educating and entertaining people.
Right. And Dice, Arkansas, you could start a whole, we could do a whole 30 minutes on at least on that and not even cover the surface of all of that. But that's what, and I think that's what's cool too, is you have like the Johnny Cash Boyhood Home and all of that brings people from all over the world into this area.
Yeah.
Walnut Ridge, when they've got, with the Beatles, that, and all sorts of stuff. It's so incredible to be able to live in this area, and the KASU has a part in that.
Well, we're wanting to reflect the culture of our region through shows like Arkansas Roots, but we're also wanting to reflect what's happening in our region through the news that we cover. We're blessed to have a fantastic news staff that really goes above and beyond to just inform people about, you know what, you may not have been aware of that this issue is happening in agriculture, this issue is happening in the medical industry and healthcare in our area. And we're doing our best to kind of inform people about those things so that you, when you see that there's a need, that you can help meet that you can be aware of things that maybe help you when it comes time to go into the voting booth.
Sure.
So we're really trying to find a niche, our spot in the enormous broadcast and online media spectrum right now, and fill it with something that you can't get anywhere else.
We got about 2 minutes left, and I know that one thing about this is that it takes money to do all of this.
Absolutely.
How do people get involved in funding the efforts of KASU?
Yeah, we're a not-for-profit, non-commercial media service. So like anywhere else that you're going to get music or news, you're paying for it. You may not realize it, but when you're subjected to commercial advertising, you're paying for it, because that commercial for a box of cereal is being paid for by what you pay when you buy that box of cereal at the store.
Sure.
So we operate on a different model. There's no commercial advertising. We're not allowed to because of the license we have from the Federal Communications Commission. So we turn directly to listeners. We say, hey, if you appreciate what this station is doing, it's something different, just make a financial contribution to it. And that's a big part of the revenue that we have that allows us to run KASU, is just individual listeners making contributions.
KASU.org is where
/give, yeah.
/give.
Yeah.
KASU.org/give. Also, we'd said that you all have opportunities if students are interested in audio editing and helping out with maybe promotions and that real quick.
Well, that's one of the most fulfilling parts of my job, is to see students like the one sitting over here on my left to eventually going on into great careers into broadcasting. You can come to KASU and get real world hands-on experience in a professional setting where students can, I've produced a radio show, I've covered news, I've helped with social media, I have gone out and helped coordinate some of our public events. KASU gives students at Arkansas State University some unique real-world experience while they're still working toward their degree, giving them some lines they can add to their resume and help them get that first job after graduation.
Fantastic. Anything else before I let you run? Thank you so much for being here today. But is there anything else you want to add?
Just thanks to ASU-TV and to all these fine students for what you're doing. We're glad to be a part of the School of Media and Journalism.
All right, sounds great. Thank you, Marty.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Jonathan.
you so much. That's going to do it for this edition of A-State Connections. I want to thank my guest, Marty Scarbrough, for joining me here today. Also want to give a huge shout out to the instructor of sports media and mass communications, Mr. Dustin Sullivan, and his amazing students in Video Production 1 who are behind the scenes running the show today. I could not do what I do without them, so thank you for that. Special thanks to our broadcast engineer, Aiden Barber, and also graduate assistant Reese Barnett for their help on the show today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.